Welcome to Breaking the Silence. It's nice to see you all here. I hear Shelby can't hear the sound. I can hear it fine. I'm sure Mary can hear it. It may be a matter of selecting the right. It might be a matter of selecting the right in your settings, the right speakers. Can everybody? Yeah, everyone's saying they can hear me good, hear me well. Um, yeah, my mic's on. Everything's on. Oh, Shelby hears me now. Okay, good. Thank you. um, what's new? What's new? What's new? Well, I'll talk tomorrow about reality, the short film I did. I will say that there's absolutely no narrative in it at all. It's just a tone poem. It's just images and music. Because I wanted to try something different, and I had a few requests from you to do such a thing. So you got it. It's a little over 10 minutes long, so it's not a real long piece. We have new people coming in front of the camera very soon. We have Earl Gray of the local LA MUFON, head of LA MUFON, coming on. I don't think he knows what he's getting himself into, uh, but he's has had experiences, and he's going to talk about that in the local group. Um, of course, we have Shelby on tonight, which is incredible. She's amazing. Um, and boy, would I like to get her in front of camera, but we have her in front of this camera tonight. We do have a lady I just met named Rebecca, who's got a book on Amazon, and has got quite a history with this subject matter. And I'm going to read her book. I'm going to pick out one of her stories in it or one of her experiences, and we're going to have that. She's going to have that professionally shot and the footage sent to me. And the phone's driving me nuts. But it's probably Mary, and I can't see what it is because I can't see my face. So sorry. It wants a passcode. I'm not going to deal with that now. But you can private chat me. Yes, you're still backstage because I'm just talking about what's going on. So that is what's going on. So we're going to have her. We're going to have more people coming in front of the camera. So in the meantime, I didn't want to do another one with me in front of the camera, so I just did one from childhood memories, and I think you'll find it interesting. So without further ado, let's bring on Shelby. Hi, Shelby, and thank you for coming here.
Hello.
It's nice to have
So
you
good
back.
to see you.
Yeah. I don't think you saw on the forum about sending me pictures and stuff, because I know you have some really amazing pictures that you've shared before on our Discord, which we're not using much anymore. I think you had some video too, didn't you?
I did. What I actually did was I embedded some of this into a PowerPoint presentation so that I could have something for people to look at other than me.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with looking at you. That's great. Not everybody has that ability, and I'm so glad you do. So you know your way around a computer, obviously, and that's very handy. So, well, let's start. Let's talk about you, and let's talk about your experiences. And I hope you like the thumbnail I did. It was loosely made with my memory of you that night when we had community chat and you told your story about being on the beach. I'm sure it was inaccurate, but at least captured the feel, I hope. So,
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was great, and it captured it perfectly.
oh, really? Well,
Yeah,
maybe it's psychic. I don't know.
it was. It surprised me when I saw that. I thought that was pretty amazing. So great
Wow.
job. Thank you.
Yeah, oh, good. Was it just at dusk or just after sunset or right around that time? I couldn't remember exactly if that was at the time or not.
It was actually at nighttime,
It was, yeah.
but the location of where that disc was right off the
Mhm.
beach was nearly exactly where you had it,
Wow.
and it was pretty cool. I was surprised, and how I was standing, the perspective of where I was standing and looking up at it was,
Right.
that was
You know,
pretty,
I made a
you nailed it.
beach. I made a beach, and I have a program for making really great water. I mean that whole scene could be animated. I could bring that to life, and you'd see the water, the light from the ship going across the water, and the waves crashing on the shore. It was kind of hard just to make it a still image. So
That would be great. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
yeah, well, I have the setup still, so I can go back anytime I want and turn that into an animation.
Cool. I've got it on my bucket list. And since today we were going to talk a little bit about kind of getting data, gathering data, and what we can
Mhm.
do as experiencers to present something a little more to science than just a story. Um, we can save that story, and I'll put it on my bucket list and get down to the studio sometime, hopefully
Yeah.
before next year or by early next year. That'd
Sorry,
be great.
whenever I talk about this subject, I always get an allergy attack. I'm sure Whitley'd have volumes to speak on that, but
Oh, yeah, a lot of us do. I actually have a special allergy medication that I can take.
oh really? Yeah, I'm totally closing up and choking, and it happens every time. And I'm starting to notice it.
You know, one thing I noticed that was interesting, Steve, when we had our Patreon discussion,
Uh
when
huh.
I was talking about Catalina and the sighting there,
Hmm.
um, when you, at one point, you had, you were talking and your chair just started wiggling behind you, like something was reaching up and kind of grabbing your chair.
Uh huh.
About the same time, and I'm not kidding, I had hairpins in my hair because I've got longer hair, so I usually
Right.
keep it up. Today I've got a hair stick, and hopefully that won't get flung. But my hairpins were getting flung against the wall. If you'll notice, you'll see that I was looking down every now and again and behind me,
Oh,
and you'll hear a little tick. That was the hairpins that were coming out of my hair and getting flung against the wall. It was very odd. It happened right before whatever it was grabbed your chair and moved it. But
the
that was
whole
odd.
the whole experience is odd. It's just wacky. I was today. I was in the morning. I saw this fellow. He reviews scary movies and stuff, and he reviewed Communion, Whitley's, Communion
Hmm.
movie, which I didn't think was very good, and a lot of people didn't. And he really didn't either. He thought the real problem was the director, and I agree. But he did focus mostly on the good points about the film, and that was is that this wasn't like Fire in the Sky or something like this. This really brought you into the realm of how incredibly strange and odd and weird this subject is, because the public seems to have this idea that, well, lights come through your window and these grays come and they take you up and they do experiments on you and all that stuff. There's so much more to it than that. I mean, that's somehow isn't strange to them. It makes sense, that beings from another world will take you on board a ship and do these things. But it's all the other stuff that they do that is just so amazing and so
Yeah.
weird, like
Yeah.
hairpins being pulled out and thrown, or having screws backing out of every place in your house and your doorknobs coming off
Yeah.
with
Or
pipe.
having your car go crazy. I've had
Yeah.
my car go completely Christine on me, where the car door, all of a sudden the alarm goes off. The windows or the mirrors are going up and down. They're in and out, up and down. They're moving,
Oh, you have Whitley beat.
and the windows are doing their thing, going up and
Yeah.
down, and even the lights inside of the car will be going off. I mean, it's you're just standing there going, "What just happened?" It's
Yeah.
crazy,
And then
paranormal, crazy.
the weird time slips and all that other stuff. And
Hmm.
it's amazing. It really is an amazing thing. So, I mean, they were showing scenes that I forgot about in Communion with the weird thing with the spirals on its face of some kind of like robot weird thing in it. And uh, just, yeah, it's that weird. It
Hmm.
really is.
Yeah.
So,
Um.
yes, talk.
Yeah. So, if it's okay, I'd like to present. I did for the PowerPoint here.
Hmm.
I think I've got a little present button here. Let's see how this works.
Yep.
Oh, you can actually do slides. I wonder if
Yeah,
that'll work.
it's not bad. It always pays to pay for
Ooh,
something like this.
share screen. Let's try the share screen.
That works well.
Let's see here.
Alchemist, I sure don't. I suppose we can compile one. I mean, I was on Dream Talk Radio just the other day, and I was on Mr. Gray, and it was a question I was asked Shelby.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, why you work on that. And
Can you actually see my screen?
not yet,
Okay, let's see here.
but I'm sure Mary could figure out the shows I've been on. So
Let's see here.
there's the Vicki Lawrence show back in the 90s that's on YouTube. It even has my aliens on stage that I made for sightings. You can see me when I had lots of hair.
Hey, there it is.
Oh, you did see it. Oh, there we go.
All
Perfect.
right.
Yeah, it works well, doesn't it?
It does. It's pretty cool. That's just
Yeah.
great software. So smooth.
Yeah.
One thing to note, Steve, while I'm doing this
Mhm.
presentation, unfortunately, I can't see you. I can just see the presentation. So just
Oh,
holler at me if there are any questions or anything that comes up.
sure.
So I guess people are probably wondering who I am. And what this is all about. It's kind of a step back a little bit because I know a lot of us have been, we've been going through this for a lifetime. And so I kind of wanted to step it back a little bit. A lot of people, myself included, I had no idea what to do. The first time I saw a UFO as an adult, all I did was stare because I was just blown away by the thing and I had no idea what to gather, what to do. I didn't know about MUFON. I had no clue. It was just like, what was that? So after I started finally learning a little bit more about it, I learned a little bit more and took notes on how to gather the data that we need and that investigators need. And eventually, my hope is that if we all gather enough data together and we've got enough information and knowledge together, that we can compile it all into really good evidence for the scientists, and that they might take notice and start looking at some of this data that we have. And so that's kind of what I want to talk a little bit about today. So who I am. Hopefully you're not seeing this.
Oh, I
StreamYard
can
is
see it. I
showing a
see
window.
you, and I see the Shelby Cobra.
Okay. Can you see this
Yes.
thing that says, "Don't worry, I'm not losing my mind"?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you can definitely see that. I was a little worried you might be seeing the StreamYard.com is sharing notice that's in the middle of my screen.
No, it's perfectly clean, and you can
Okay.
see yourself and me off to the left hand side of the screen. Small
Okay.
little boxes, and then this is very well presented, almost full screen.
Okay, cool. So this is a 1972 Shelby Cobra, and
That's not
I
a
was
kit
born in
car.
1972. And Shelby nickname. My formal name is actually Michelle, but no one calls me that except for my mother when she's angry at me. And sort of speaking of my mother and kind of how people feel oftentimes when they encounter this or when they are experiencers, as I am. That message right there was from today, this morning, when I was trying to talk to my mother to say, hey, I'm finally going to go out and start talking to the world about my life as an experiencer.
That's a big
That
step.
was her response. I told her I'm not losing my mind. It's okay. I'm still the same person I was yesterday, but I need to start talking about some of these experiences because I think it's going to help me and it might help others. And her response was, oh, come on, sure you are not losing your mind, right? Yeah. But So she doesn't believe in it. My father doesn't believe in it. I experienced a lot of the same things that you did, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
hard for me
Well,
too.
I think it's a matter of them not wanting to believe it or to accept it because the evidence is just building up all around them
Oh yeah,
every
for
day
sure.
on the news everywhere you go, and so it takes time sometimes for people to say, okay, I have to change the way I look at the world.
I think they wipe it out of their minds too, because my mother and father had a UFO experience recently, and I had been talking to them about,
Thank you,
Lou
Alchemist.
Elizondo and
Right.
ATIP and some of the just the real basics, the 2017, December 2017 article. And they were starting to learn a little bit about it. And they recently had a UFO experience. And shortly thereafter, I was talking to my mother and she didn't remember it at all. In fact, she had to yell at my dad, "Did we just have an experience with a UFO?" And he said, "Yeah." And she's like, "What?" So I think people oftentimes will just wipe it out of their memory completely if they can.
It's also, it seems to be almost a choice because I mean, you heard me talk about my friend I was with, the astronomy party, and other people, and they don't remember 2 weeks later. It's
Yeah.
completely gone.
Yeah. And that same exact thing happened to my mom. It was really odd. And it's kind of disconcerting, but in a way, I guess you can understand. Some of us, often many of us, forget our own experiences. We end up with just a chunk of time that's not there. So anyway, I digress, and I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I'm Shelby Zimmer, and I've been a software engineer for over 25 years. I'm a senior software engineer, and I've done lead development. I've led development teams, and I've even worked at places like Microsoft. I've worked for the healthcare industry for a long time in software engineering. So I have a very logical, hard math and science
You
a
have to.
background. Yeah. So when I woke up to this, it was really, really, really hard for me. And I think that's going to be really hard for a lot of people, but I think we're all going to get through it okay. And I think it's going to be all right. Um, when we talk about evidence or data, a lot of people say that they're gathering evidence. And I think Dr. Gary Nolan from Stanford, I know a lot of people have heard about him. Um, he's a very renowned research scientist. He does a lot of cancer research, which is very pertinent to me as I have cancer right now. But
I didn't know that,
he's
Shelby.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He stated that do we call it gathering evidence, or do we call it gathering data? What do we call it, and what is it really? And I think at this point, and even if you look up in Wikipedia, you look at the close encounters levels, like first kind, second kind, third kind. When they get to close encounters of a third kind, it just kind of says you've had an encounter with a being. I don't remember the exact words. I've got it
Cool.
here in the presentation, but you've just kind of had an encounter.
Right.
But it doesn't really give any data or evidence that can be presented to say that you've had that encounter. But so Dr. Nolan basically was saying at this point now, what we're doing is we're gathering data. And eventually all that data can be compiled for the scientists to get together and come up with ways that they can determine what hard evidence is. So right now we don't really know what's evidence and what's not. So I'd say when you're recording what you've had as an experience, no matter how weird it is, just record it, jot it down. Some of it's really, really, really weird, and people may not believe you. That's okay. There are a lot of places and people to go and talk to, people that will believe you, will listen, and know that it's very, very weird and it's okay. And hopefully all this is going to give us some hard evidence that we need in the future so that everybody can wake up to what it's like being an experiencer.
If everybody no matter how crazy it seems, you wake up the next morning and you vividly remember something, then you need to write it down. I don't care how crazy it is, because it could be that when you share that, like on the forum, I wish I could turn this thing off, but I thought I turned the volume down. It's still making noise. I'm sorry. Click that.
I can't hear it.
You can't. Oh, well, that's because I'm using noise cancellation. I forgot. It just
Oh,
hears
cool.
my voice. So forgot about that. In the forum, I've been trying to encourage people, and I'm doing it myself, is, if I have something happen, I write it down in there and I share it, because that's building that database. And I had a really sort of normal UFO thing last night, but then I had a really weird one, and I haven't written that one down yet because I ran out of time today, but I haven't forgot it, and I'm going to do that. So I would encourage everybody that's in the forum to share, because what Shelby is saying is true. You may say, well, I saw Felix the cat and he threw a black spot on a wall and went through it. Someone else will say, God, that happened to me last night too. I thought it was just me. I didn't want to say anything about it. That's evidence.
Yeah.
Not possible for two people to have the same dream. So you're right.
Although it happens.
Yeah, it happens, but what does it mean? I mean, what do we know about people having the same dreams, if nothing else, and the exact same dreams? So
Yeah, that's a really good question. I wish I knew. I guess the only thing that pops into my head is that we're all one somehow.
yeah.
But even that's kind of weird, right?
Well, no, because it was in a Beatles song, and I remember it well.
Sorry about that. That was my husband's
I
phone.
thought I was hearing things.
It was clear in the other room too.
Okay.
So the different types of contacts we can have conscious contact where we're wide awake sometimes, and we're just seeing and understanding, hearing and remembering everything that's happening. Sometimes there's that partially conscious contact where it feels like you're in a dream, and you're not sure if you're in the dream state or not. I know Whitley Strieber has that quite a bit, where he'll say, well, I'm not 100% sure if I was dreaming, but it sure didn't feel like a dream, where deep down inside he kind of knows that something happened, that it was something real happened there. And probably what it was the contact that he was experiencing, but he was only having kind of a dream state. And so it can be really hard to document some of it, or hard to even put it into words. But I do try the best I can in a journal too. And I'll try to put more on the forum as well. Because you're right. The forum is such a great place to put it.
Yeah, we've got about 66 members in there right now on this subject. That's amazing. And
Yeah, that's growing quick.
If you can draw, you can't describe something that you experienced, then draw it. If you can draw it, or sculpt it, or whatever talent you have, to visualize something you can't quite put into words, that's really important, which is something I'm going to try to do with what happened last night, which was just so bizarre and odd. But I felt fully awake, and then I woke up and it was like, wait a minute, I'm confused here, because I just experienced something so strange. So
That's weird. I had a strange dream last night about yeah, I had a strange dream last night too.
so do you want to talk about it, or do you want us to put it down separately and see if it matches?
Yeah, let's do that. That would be really
I
interesting,
mean, this
because
I'll tell you that
yeah.
my hands got hot during it. I will say that much. Very hot and very warm. It was just a weird. Tomorrow morning I have nothing pushing me at all, and I can just spend time at the computer and try to visualize it and write about it, and
Okay,
put it in.
cool.
It's under experiences. And again, you guys, if you're listening and you have these experiences, you ought to join our forum. You don't have to use your real name, but you can share this data that Shelby's talking about. So let's get back to your PowerPoint because I think it's pretty important.
Cool. So sometimes you have the dreamlike stuff that we had and that we're going to document. And then sometimes you have fully unconscious contact where time is just gone. You're missing time. People hear that all the time. But oftentimes the missing time comes in with the close encounters of the fourth kind, where people have been abducted. And I know sometimes, or people have had experiences, they might not necessarily call it abduction. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's contact, and it's a good benevolent thing. Sometimes it's not. Different people encounter different things. I think they're all valid. I put some personal examples in here, and this is kind of why I wanted to take a step back to the close encounters types, because there's different kinds of documentation that you can, and different kinds of tools that you can use with each and every CE level. So like at a CE1 with the close encounters of a first kind, one thing that I do is on my phone,
Mhm.
if I'm having an encounter, what I'll do is I'll make sure that I pull up a flight tracker. And they have airplane flight trackers apps, so you can go to your
Sure.
app
Yeah,
store.
I have one on my phone
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then
and ATC, so I can listen to the local towers, and
oh,
I know their language pretty well.
okay, cool. Yeah, that's another one. That's great. I do not have that one yet, so I will get it. And then I also have an ISS tracker. Um, and then in addition to the ISS tracker, I have a SAT tracker. So any satellites that are publicly known, of course, we're not
Mhm.
going to know what the military has going on up there, but they also have satellite trackers,
Right.
so that you know. And I've done it a couple of times myself. I remember one time I saw this beautiful golden um, something up there that looked like it had two little wings, and I thought it was amazing. And I pulled up my ISS tracker, and I okay, the
Yeah.
timing is just right. It says it's coming 10 degrees over. Okay, yeah, up from the horizon. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it says it's right over where I'm at. Okay, yeah. Um,
Do you
delete
have
the recording.
Stellarium?
It's the CISS.
Do you have Stellarium?
No, I don't.
It's a
For
it's a
I have
it's a
Starview. I'd have to grab my
yeah. Starlarium is amazing. It's literally a planetarium, and you can either have it on your PC or on your phone. And I have it on the phone, and you literally hold it up, and uh, I can look at any object in the sky, and it lists all the satellites and puts their names next to them and everything. I think
oh, cool.
for the phone, it's free. For your computer, it costs a bit of money, but it's really worth it because it's just great. So
Oh,
you can be
Sky.
absolutely sure that and it's very important that you absolutely know that what you're seeing doesn't fit any of the data that we have on natural objects we can see in the sky and our aircraft and spacecraft. So you eliminate those, you've got an unknown.
Yeah, yeah.
Not
And
unless it
so,
does something like suddenly zip up really fast, come to a complete stop without slowing down, and zigzags right and left, and it comes really close to you, and you see it's a saucer. That's different. That's You know, that's not
yeah.
ours. If it is, boy, you guys are good liars. So these are now. I think I've seen some of these pictures before that you shared, and I mean, there's a lot of people that send us UFO pictures and things, but these are really quite striking.
Yeah, this is just a few of the better
Yeah.
ones. I've been doing this since about 2017, taking pictures. One thing I noticed about some of these is if you look in this this one right here, and I say first kind CE1, it's not closer than 500 feet or
Hmm.
150 meters, so it's not really technically considered CE1. But this one right here in the center, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but the
Yes, I
one in the
can
center with
quite
the
clearly.
star, yeah, it has this little black dot that you can see that's about just at 11 o'clock, 12, somewhere between 11 12 o'clock.
Hmm.
It was circling around it. And so I have video of some of these as well. And so I also got a close up of it down here in the lower left. And so you can see that little ball is
Right.
down around 6
Yeah.
o'clock below it. So there's just some weird things where something, it might look like a star, but like you said, it's got some really weird behaviors. Oftentimes I notice they have these like secondary things just kind of floating around them, or there's just something extra going on. They'll be like blurry or almost flitty looking, like the one in the upper right hand corner almost looks like what's that little thing in Harry Potter, the little gold thing where the wings come out and they
I've never seen it. I'm
flutter?
sorry. A Faye? I mean, I've never seen the film, so.
Yeah, snitch, the snitch ball. I think it's called a snitch. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
it's got like these little weird wings that flitter out and then they flutter, and that's what this thing on the upper right hand side was doing. And so just kind of really weird behavior. Um, so I wanted to share some of those. And then this last one with the airplane in
Sector
the center.
31. I'm very familiar with aircraft markings. Thank you.
Aircraft?
He was pointing out about the red, the nav lights, red and green, and then there's anti-collision lights that
Oh,
blink.
yeah.
You know, sometimes I've seen, and they're not supposed to do it, but the nav lights are off, which is, I don't know why that's being done, but
Yeah.
all the private aircraft that, you know, and I'm surrounded in an aviation community all the time. They always have the red and greens are on. So people flying know which way they're going.
Yeah, that's a good
The
point.
anti-collision lights are helpful too. So, and then there's
Hmm.
landing
And
lights,
sometimes
runway. Yeah.
we have a small airport just about a mile south of us, and sometimes we'll notice that you won't actually see the anti-collision lights until the thing turns. So you might see the headlight coming on, and then when it
Right.
turns, you might see the red green. But yeah, it's but
Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. Jill says hi to you, by the way.
hi.
I saw her, and so does, and then there's Judy's there saying hi to you too, and saying hi to Jill.
Hi.
Yeah, but the strobe lights, you can see those from any angle because they're 360. So
You mean when they just kind of pulse in the sky all over
yeah, some of them,
like
do half
flash
second
bulbs?
flashes, 1 second flashes that some blink very quickly. Helicopters have different ones altogether so that you are able to, as a pilot, distinguish between a helicopter and a fixed wing aircraft. So,
Yeah, like the constant strobing. Yeah, I get
mhm,
what you're saying now.
yeah. So,
The one in the very center of this picture here, just really quickly, that is an airplane in the middle.
mhm,
But what was following behind it was this strange black box. And so when I took a picture of it, it came out kind of blurry, but
mhm.
it was like a black box. It was weird. So, but yeah, photos will come out really teeny tiny. That's another thing too. When you take pictures, you think it's going to be so great, and it's like this little tiny blotch in the
Well,
sky. And
sure.
so,
That's why when Neil Tyson's always saying, "Come on, people, we have these 4K cameras and everybody has one, and you can get the picture," and it's like I want to say, Neil, have you ever gone outside and photographed a Cessna 172 flying over at even 600 feet? See what you get. It's amazing. You get this kind of blurry image, and yeah, you can make out if it's a plane, but other ones are further away. You can still, with the naked eye, quite make it out quite clearly. And not unless you have a really good camera with the telephoto and you know how to use it, you're not going to get a good picture. And
yeah, if you
so
can afford
that
a
argument
Nikon,
doesn't work. Doesn't work.
yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson he's amazing. I have learned so much from him
No, I
about
have
science.
too, but he's still a big
He was one
fathead.
of my heroes. So he kind of broke my heart. I hope
But I
that,
agree with them. We need to push that asteroid 600 feet. And we got to keep these people in the government from playing Russian roulette with our lives because they don't want to spend the money. Move the damn thing.
oh man,
600
yeah,
feet. That's all.
we'll
So
convince him
I
someday,
digress.
Steve.
not to digress, Tyson. Yeah, these orb pictures I remember seeing and saying, "Wow, this is not a piece of dust being overexposed by camera flash and out of focus because it's close
Right.
to the lens. This is, and you know what? I've seen other people take pictures of almost exactly the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, there's a guy on the forum. His avatar is very similar to this. He takes pictures of very strange orbs and light beings all the time, and they're amazing. But I mean, you have this. You have several pictures of this in different positions. It's clear
Mhm.
that it's moving, and it looks like it's also. I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah, this one followed me down the side of the house and then just kind of floated up. And then right by that downspout there, it just kind of went right out into the sky and just kind of left. So,
And you could
um,
see it clearly, and it looked like
yeah,
that. And the camera took a picture of it, which is, that's not an easy thing to get.
no, mm-mm. You just
Whitley
take a
would
lot of pictures.
Whitley would really want to see that. I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been doing it. Mark Sims gave us a camera to use, a very high end cinema camera, but he also gave with us to use a Starlight lens, and it's a very high quality one, and I'm looking forward to this summer getting out someplace and trying to capture, because if I'm out with Mary, she's saying August. If I'm out with Mary and we're in the woods and it's dark, we always see something, always. And I need to make
Cool.
an effort as you have, because your pictures are amazing,
I
and
um
that's
I
evident.
often yeah, one thing one thing I think is interesting is oftentimes you'll have a feeling that something is located somewhere. And if you want to get it, one thing I found that oftentimes happens is if you don't think about it, you're feeling it, but you just bring that camera up and snap it and then turn, or turn and snap quick, you'll oftentimes catch what you are feeling. So, just kind of a hint.
Yeah, I will take that hint well. So
Because I
I
was
do.
missing it all the time.
I do know that this voice kind of just comes into your mind and says, "Go, you need to go out and look at the window."
Hmm.
And in the few times that I actually responded to it and said, "Okay, what the hell? I've been
Yeah.
shown something amazing, and I need to do that more often." So
And that's when you see them. Yep.
yeah,
That is so true. It's so weird how we all have these experiences that are so similar, so much the same.
yeah,
Um, yeah. So that one on this one on the left hand side, the craft was floating just above this omega symbol that was in the clouds. So I
hmm
came outside. I had that urging. For me, it's often not a voice, but it's like a pictures or urgings in my mind of where to look, just kind of like a pull that I'll feel, almost like marionette string. Come here,
hmm yeah,
and I'll look and it'll be up there. The one on the right hand side here was a really strange one. It was a one that I actually was able to see, although not very well through the trees. It was one of those ones that look
Hmm.
almost like it had the three balls on the bottom, with like a sunbonnet shape,
Huh.
and it was I caught the movement and I kind of felt this weird vibration, and so I looked over and there it was, through the trees, and of course so then I pulled up and took the picture of it.
It's
But
almost
it
like
was
you're describing an Adamski uh, craft that had that
I don't
shape,
know.
three balls under it, which evidently was turned out later to be a chicken incubator. I haven't looked into that much, but
A
um,
chicken what?
incubator, yeah, turned upside down, I guess, and for yeah, that's what they said. It's what they was,
Okay.
But
I promise you, this is not a chicken
no, but
incubator. This
no,
is
I
something that
know
was
that, and
hovering in the
if it
trees.
was, how did it get lights on it and get that far up into the sky? Somebody had to throw that thing really hard.
Yeah, chicken
Now, people,
incubator.
we do
Wow.
laugh at this stuff because we have to. I know some people
Mhm.
take offense when we laugh about this stuff happening to us and seeing these things, but
Yeah, I don't
it's
throw
good for your soul.
hubcaps nor chicken
No,
incubators.
no,
That is so weird. I'm sorry. That's
it's
just I've
okay.
never heard that.
Wow.
Um, one other thing I learned just recently. Here's a few more that I took pictures of. But one thing that I found was that we can actually purchase Madar now. I think it's. I don't want to say it's MUFON. I'm not sure exactly, but I was just hearing that you can get a Madar device, which is it will actually it does pressure, pressure, compass direction, all kinds of different little measurements, scientific measurements. I think it's about $250, and it will put your Madar location on the map. It's just a black box. I'm actually going to get one as soon as we move. We're right in the middle of moving, so almost everything I own is in boxes right now.
Um,
um, but so I put the location here, the Madar. You can actually see these really cool node. I'm afraid if I press it, it's going to do something funny, but let's try it. There we go. So I hope the screen didn't just go black. If it
no,
did, let me know. So this will actually give you the location of all of the different Madar nodes that are out there. And when you click on one of them, you can see how many different things that it's checking for, so that if a compass all of a sudden starts swinging, or the Gauss fields start changing, if there's some kind of weird gravity deviation that's going on,
oh,
it will alert and send that notification to the people that own the Madar system. And I
wow.
almost want to say that it's like NICAP who started Madar. Maybe somebody online knows.
Yeah, NICAP. I mean, they're long gone, but fondly remembered. Certainly, Chris Carter remembered them in X Files.
Maybe it's here.
It's
But
been a
that's the
long.
data probe, the little block. But anyway, it's another way to gather data. And I thought that would be just
That's
really
really
great.
cool.
They also have DAP cameras. A lot of people have heard of the UFO DAPs. Those are a lot more expensive, but that's the DAP camera there with the ball on top, and it almost looks like a little egg holder
That
underneath.
I'm not seeing right now. I'm just what I'm seeing is the Madar dap cams. Um,
Okay,
I'm not seeing the camera.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, if you go to ufodap.com
Hmm.
and you click on technology, it should show you the DAP cameras. But basically, they just look like a half ball,
Hmm.
almost like a little crystal ball with an egg cup holder underneath them, and you set them up, and they are already programmed to see airplanes and satellites and things that are normal, and they'll only catch what are UFO anomalies. They're pretty expensive, so they're more for someone who
I would
can
sure
really
like to
afford.
have one.
Yeah, it'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Uh, I'll take the less expensive route and take a oh, something popped up there for a minute.
Sorry about that.
And take
That
the
was my
black
mistake.
magic camera and the star scope out and see what I can get
Yeah.
because they seem to be attracted to me for some reason. So
Yeah, the more we can document, the better. So that sounds really
yeah,
like a really good way to do it too.
yeah.
And then radar actually will show up strange things. So sometimes if you go to your weather radar, just standard weather radar,
Oh,
it might show something anomalous. I know that there have been weird patterns. There have been strange clouds, all kinds of different things that have showed up sometimes on weather radar. And if you take a screenshot on your phone, that might also be something that you could send in with a MUFON report, say. So just some thoughts
I've
there.
been using an app called My Radar, which is really nice.
Oh,
Even
cool.
the free app is really nice, even, and um, I highly recommend it. It works very
That's a
well,
good idea.
much better than Zoom Earth, I think. So, yeah,
Cool. And
My
then
Radar.
my radar. Okay. Thank you. And then your car radars. Actually, I have found sometimes my car radar will go off when there's something nearby. So, um, other tech I found that we can track with radios sometimes go haywire. Televisions. I actually have a video of my TV going crazy during an encounter where there was something that came over the house. Excuse me, the house, and then we had some missing time after. Your computers will go nuts. As you know, your phone will go nuts. Let me go to this is actually something I submitted to MUFON, something that I saw.
Wow, very deep.
Um, yeah, I was kind of digressing into this second. So when you start having these physical effects, that's the next level, the CE2,
Hmm.
where your car might stop, your phone might start going crazy, which I don't know if people watch Skinwalker Ranch, um,
Mary
but
and
my
I
phone.
tried.
Have you seen the episode where they're looking at their iPhones and the phones start just going crazy?
No,
So they have an episode. I took a screenshot. The the phone will go nuts, and we'll get to that in the next screen. But I've actually experienced that, and I can kind of explain a little bit of what was going on to the guys at Skinwalker Ranch and what happened to me on my phone that was very, very similar to what they experienced. Um, and then your dog or your cat might react to it, or there's other physiological effects that we can feel. I woke up, and I think you've said you've woken up before with weird sunburns, right?
yeah, and well, little burns too. I mean, I woke up this morning, and we'll talk about that, another time. But I have like these little burns on both of my wrists, and I didn't do anything yesterday associated with burns or anything. It happened in the night, and that's all there is to it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, my husband's woke up with the burns. He actually has like fingers were pressed into his chest, and it's got five. Um, no, I've got a picture of it. It's four little burns on his chest, almost like somebody pressed with their fingers into his chest. But yeah, we've that's one that's pretty common too. Yeah, the little burns, strange sunburns, things like that. Um, at Catalina, when I woke up, I had a sunburn. I was really sick. That's another thing too. People will often have the physiological effect of getting sick, really ill after an encounter.
sure.
Um,
Oh yeah,
and that can be from either ionizing or non-ionizing radiation. It's even killed some people before in the past. um, so but there can be a lot of physical traces not only on your human body, but also ground traces as well that can happen. um, what this here, I hope it's showing
it
through
is. Yeah,
motion.
yeah. I saw the motion.
Yeah, this strange thing happened. We had an encounter with we we had an abduction encounter that was happen. It happened on Long Beach in Washington, and
Hmm.
the evening right before the encounter, we were having really strange happenings with computers, with our phones. There was some paranormal stuff going on in the rental that we were renting, and this I kind of recorded. This is one photo, but when you do, you can click view motion on the photo, and it'll give you like 3 seconds of what was going on. Um, At the time, it was one of those instances where I just felt something weird was happening, and I
That's
just was
definitely
taking
weird.
pictures. And there was some kind of strange mist that was just popped up, but it was a really fast mist. And
Have you
that's
freeze framed it? Because it seems like it actually makes a form at one point. Right
it.
there.
Oh, really? Well, I noticed there was like a strange aperture in the center of almost like a hole in the center of
Yeah,
the
I
mist.
can see one frame because I've worked with stop motion animation and visual effects all my life. So
Oh,
I
cool.
have to be able to see one frame because, you know, we worry that sometimes we leave equipment in the shot and you can see it blink off and on for one frame, but most people can't. But there's definitely something there if it's freeze framed on that exact moment. Yeah, it almost looks like a cloud. Reminds me of the Outer Limits. It
It
crawled
was
out of the
spooky,
woodwork.
Steve. That day was really spooky.
Yeah, it looks spooky. And then, of
Yeah.
course, you have looks like a ring there almost. And having the picture of the fence there as a reference is really important. It gives you an idea of its size.
Oh, you mean the trees themselves, like a fairy
No, they're
ring?
talking about the pictures on to the right of the screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, this is actually from our backyard.
right,
We've had a couple of burn spots, really weird burn spots. We actually called the lower one in the right, we called it the crop circle, just it was kind of our joke.
right.
But it's another one of those things that just showed up overnight. When I used to take my dog out to go potty, I would take her down to and say, "Come on, let's go to the crop circle," because there wouldn't be any water in it. The water would just kind of run around it, and not naturally because water it used to flood down there as well,
It's
right in
too
that
bad
spot.
you don't have a Geiger counter or a Gauss meter or anything like that on you.
I do, but it's packed. I wanted to show it,
Oh,
but it's packed. Yeah.
yeah, you'd be amazed if you take a Gauss meter to something like that, what it does. I mean,
Yeah.
the night before I clearly had been taken was at a MUFON event, and we spent the night in a hotel, and Whitley was in the hotel above me, and I mean the room above me, and I was below him, um, and I had Roger Lear gave me a Gauss meter, and I went into my room and started testing, and it was going crazy. And then that
Mhm.
night, something very traumatic happened, and there was all kinds of physical evidence on my body afterwards. And Whitley's and Nan both saw that. But I remember testing again with the Gauss meter the next morning, and there was nothing. There
Hmm.
was something in the room already.
Yeah, it can be very transient.
Yeah.
Um, this one, it kind of steadily declined. The one out back, I was using a uh, a tri-field meter, and unfortunately, I have that pack too. But you also have apps that you can get on your phone for tri-field meters, and they actually they work pretty good. They get a little interruption. It's best if you have an actual tri-field meter that you can that you can use that doesn't get any kind of interruption from your phone, or that you can like move away from to and from away from the location. But yeah, this one showed it was about double the normal radiation that was there, and then it pretty slowly went down back to normal. And now when I go out, things are growing in there now finally after several years,
Well, something
and
landed there
it's back
clearly.
to normal.
Something
Hmm?
landed. Something landed there clearly because there's just cases of this going back into the 50s uh,
I
of,
think so.
of of burns like this. It's very common, and I recall having those around the house when I was growing up too, and finding these, mother getting mad and what'd you do to the lawn? I didn't do anything, and I was getting
Yeah.
blamed for weird stuff all the time because I was an only child. Well, no one else could have done it, and I didn't do it, Mom, and it was, you know, Wow.
Yeah, my brother and I used to get blamed on for a lot of things that would break and problems at the house when I was a kid too. I can relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also, I don't know if you got this too, the weird swirls where you would get really strange little swirls in the grass all over. But we have that too, and sometimes it almost looks like a decoration.
Huh.
Yeah. This is the thing with the TV. So I listed a few more things that you can use. Paranormal tracking tools, believe it or
Right.
not, work pretty good if you have paranormal tracking on your phone. Those things will work pretty well. Also, EMF meters, your house cameras, although they will turn them off.
Yeah. Oh,
I've
sure.
had, yeah,
Yeah. Whitley's get turned off all the time. Well, not all
yeah,
the time, but he has caught some interesting things, but not them.
yeah, or the battery will just die.
Yeah.
Um,
But the
uh,
television is impressive. I've never seen my television do that. If I did, I'd be freaked out. I have to buy another television.
yeah, it ended. It started. We were watching. I think this is How the Universe Works. I
Hmm.
think that's the name of the program. It's one of those science shows, and we were just watching it. All of a sudden, it just started glitching out, and then the the glitching ended shortly thereafter. But then we woke up much later. So um, yeah, you'll often notice these weird, just creepy technical things that happen. This is the thing in the upper right hand corner with the I took a screenshot. I hope it's okay. From the Skinwalker Ranch show. What
Uh,
was happening on the phone, I can describe to you what happened on my phone because the where brief bits I was seeing on Skinwalker Ranch, I was literally pointing at the TV going, "Hey, my phone has done that. Wow." It will open your apps. So when this happens, what it'll do is it'll look like it's pressing all of the buttons on your computer to unlock it, or excuse me, on your phone to unlock it. And then it will open your apps one by one very, very rapidly. It will pull up your phone app. It will start putting in people's phone numbers. So contact after contact after contact. And it will put those phone numbers in, and it will look like that, like a long string of numbers in your phone. Um, and it never closes anything out, of course. You have to go through and take your time and close all the apps that it's opened. But you'll think that it's going to call somebody because it pulls up your contact list. It'll pop that number right into the phone, and then it'll go to the next contact, throw that number up into the phone. And that's why it ends up a long string of numbers. And so, I don't know if it's just like when it's a high electromagnetic frequency, like the EMF is going nuts or what, but I've actually seen my phone, it's done that before, close to or during a strange encounter. So um, it's really disconcerting when the phone does that.
yeah, my phone occasionally acts pretty odd. I'll be just texting back and forth to someone, and I'll close it, and then to go back and check later, and it's trying to record a message to them, and it's red, and it's been recording all this time, and there's really no reason for it. And I'll stop it and get rid of it, and it does it all the time, and other weird things too. But
Mm,
I just thought my phone was being weird. I don't know, maybe it's
yeah, almost like
later.
it's acting like it was
Yeah.
hacked, right?
Wow.
Yeah. It will open the paranormal apps. I have some paranormal apps that have like where you can have a ghost type in some letters on your phone. It'll pop those up too, and it'll type strange messages, weird symbols, all kinds
Right.
of just creepy stuff in there.
Well,
Um, so that was only on my iPhone. Once I got rid of the iPhone and I got a Samsung, it didn't do that anymore. So if you're an iPhone user and you want to get it to stop, buy a Samsung. And I'm really sorry because I know people love their iPhones so much, but if it's too creepy, that's what worked for me.
I'm impartial.
So
So this a phone. You know, I'm not a
You're a
I'm
normal
not a
commercial.
Mac fanatic at all. So that's why I have all these PCs because they,
I really loved my iPhone because it was so easy to use and it was so
yeah.
friendly. And yeah, but
Wow.
anyway, so the last picture I have there is the you can get, like, it's called a Tesla meter, and it will actually show you EMF, so that you can tell when EMF is heightened. One time I noticed a being walk through the wall here in the front room. Actually, you can actually see the location of it right here in this picture where the TV's freaking out.
Right.
Um, right on the other side of my, at the bottom of my staircase there, um, that you can kind of see the edge of a couch right on
Yes.
the end of a couch.
Yeah, I see the staircase, the railing.
Yeah, there was a being standing there one night while I was watching TV. It might have been how the universe works. But there was a being standing there, and it just walked right across that hallway and right on through the wall to the garage or the outside. I'm not sure exactly where the garage ends and the outside, and it's hard to tell when you're at this location how
Right.
far up the creature was exactly, like where the garage ended and where the outside began. But it just like just, as soon as I saw it standing there, it just kind of went, right across and right on through the wall.
That's exactly
Well,
it.
well, yeah, and so it spooked me out when you when I saw your thing with the refrigerator,
Oh,
and yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that, when the creature just walks right on
yeah,
through. Only
sure.
for you it was the fridge.
You
For me
haven't
it was,
lived it. They've taken your hand and pulled you through the refrigerator with them, and
oh yeah,
that was a
it's hard to talk about this.
very uncomfortable feeling because I could actually feel the refrigerator, its atomic structure mingling with mine and kind of not colliding, but just kind of sticking a bit. Like, it makes you
Pressure.
think of the Philadelphia experiment type of thing. But I felt that I could feel the pull of it, and you have this fear of what if suddenly you stopped and you'd be it would kill you. I mean, it was a creepy feeling. It really
Oh
was.
yeah.
That only happened once, but that was enough, and it was done, I guess, to teach me something. I'm not sure what that was exactly, but because other times I've been taken through walls and stuff, and I didn't feel that. But there was something about there was so much metal, and we were passing through it, and there were so many other things in there that I felt this sort of tug.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
obviously, the creature having its hand on me, it was able to bring my vibration to a point where it would allow me to pass through material that isn't solid anyway. I mean, everyone has this idea that everything's solid. It's not solid at all. So, oh, Judy, thank you. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. Um, yes, I mean, Mary will tell you that I we'll be sitting watching TV and I'll see something in the hallway and it moves through, or I see something. I mean, she did see with me the one night before the flood. We sat the other way, and so um, there was this blue white light that came on in the kitchen and flashed on the wall for a bit and went out. And it's like, well, isn't that something? This stuff just happens. So,
So, just curious, Steve, was it about like the blue light that I took a picture of that was in my backyard a couple slides back? I don't know. Let's see.
it was just blue white light, and it flashed for a second, and it was gone. And it's the color that I'm used to seeing when I've woken up and it was coming through the windows. And you'll see
Hmm.
in my videos, I'm always recreating it. And the one outside my workshop when I lived in Granada Hills, when I opened the door, and it just was very soft blue white light, but it had like a density to it. It felt like it had a thickness. Um, and I don't know why I just decided to walk into it. Oh, I want to see what happens. and immediately got weightless, and up
Mhm.
I went. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just like that. It's just
What
the
did that
strangest.
feel like for you going the weightless?
It didn't feel bad at all. It felt like flying. It felt like being Superman, you know.
Cool.
And I didn't feel sick from it. But then again, I don't get air sick, and I don't get nausea easily. I will get it after an experience, though. It's not bad, but I feel, as you pointed out, very ill sometimes. And then
Yeah.
sometimes it's mild, like I'm okay, I can get through the day with this, but other times it's almost debilitating. And I don't know why it changes.
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like you got hit by a truck.
Yeah, really, you do.
Mhm.
You do.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I'd love to know. I'm so curious. Um,
I
I
know
don't know.
we all will, we all do, and but we know something's going on. We know it's very real, and it's nice to be in the company of so many people as I'm watching in chat that we're not alone with these beautiful people. We we know it's real, and we're, we're grateful to be able to share with each other uh, without having a bunch of people rolling their eyes at us. So that
Yeah,
will that will
definitely thankful for that
yeah.
because it's
Well,
something
that will
important.
change over time. It's already changing more and more and more. Um, one of the things that happened out there were two things that happened last night. The one I did do a report on, and it's in the experiencer section in the forum, and I even did I frustrated over doing a drawing of it real quick because I didn't want to forget anything of what I saw. But it was precognition. And I've had precognition many times in my life. These things have come true. I don't doesn't mean this one will, but I was I was at Oxnard Airport. I'm pretty sure that's where I was, and there was a bunch of people there. So it might have been some sort of air show event, and it was overcast, and we saw this UFO in broad daylight, and it was silverish, glowing a bit, illuminating the fog, and it was moving across the sky, and then it moved back again. But everybody saw it, and they're talking a lot of people, and they were all getting their cell phones out and shooting it. And I heard this one guy next to me, "Go baby, go!" And that's like they were excited. They thought it was great, because these are
Yeah,
all aviation people, and they were just like, "Oh wow, we're really seeing one of these darn things." And I
cool.
woke up going, "What the heck?" And so I got right out of bed, and I wrote it all down, and I did a quick drawing, and I put that on there. So
Hmm, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm hoping that someday can happen with a whole bunch of scientists.
yeah, well, being in an aviation crowd, it's pretty close to that because those guys are really skeptical, despite everything they've seen.
Mhm.
Um, and the ones that have really um, that really have seen something, they really don't want to talk about it, really. And if they
Mhm.
do, they'll pull me aside and go
They
someplace where
get
there's no one else to tell me. So
yeah, they get really hammered. I mean,
yeah, they
hammered on,
do. Well, because
not
they don't want to
hammered,
lose their
but
pilot's license. Oh, you're goofy. You lost your license, and it's
yeah.
like in Close Encounters. No, we don't want to report one of those either. We don't know what we'd report, sir.
Mhm.
They
Nope.
just
And,
that was realistic. Yeah.
being a software engineer, I mean, I tried so many times to talk to people because, I mean, sometimes you wake up and you need to talk to somebody, but there's nobody there at
Oh, there
work.
isn't because they're going to think you're nuts. Let
Oh,
alone
yeah.
having a hole drilled in your head and you got spinal fluid leaking out of it, and it's like, what do I do with this? I can't go to a
Yeah.
regular doctor. Oh, Roger Lear. So I went and saw Roger, and yeah, you got a hole in your head. Just, that's another joke for me. Yep, I
It's
sure
good we
do.
had him, though.
Huh?
It's
Oh,
good
I
we had him.
there was who is it? Showtime's doing a new series on UFOs, and it's a many part series, and I watched a little bit of it, but I got bored because I don't want to say it, but I kind of everything they were covering I already knew.
Hmm.
No one wants to say they know it all. There's no way I can know it all, but it was the same stuff. But they did in the opening sequence, they were showing I think it was Turkey when Roger was over there and he shot that footage of that platform and when they zoomed in, they could see the grays in the window, and
Oh,
you
did
could,
he shoot that?
yeah, he was there when it was being shot because
Oh,
right
he was
there,
there.
I heard his
Wow.
voice. I went, that sounds like it is Roger, and it was so wonderful to hear his voice again. And he was saying,
Wow.
"I was there when that was being shot, and it's real."
That's not, that is some of the
And you could see the little
coolest.
rays, I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing footage. So, and what the scientists tried to say is what they were actually seeing was, I mean, I can't get this right, but there was a ship, like a yacht, and it was over the horizon. But because the atmosphere could do lensing, it
Mhm.
projected this distortion of people on the ship on the other side of the horizon line being, so it was like a projection into the sky that they were photographing. And it's like, I don't know everything
Oh.
about science, but I was around scientists all my life, and grew up in a science environment, and I was always fascinated with it and always studied it. And I wasn't quite buying that at all, you know?
I mean, because like even if you took the image and you kind of flattened it out and you spread it out,
Yeah,
like it were being stretched, I mean, it still wouldn't be right if you really
yeah.
think through
No,
that.
I knew Roger quite well. We spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
One thing he wasn't, and that was a liar. So if he says it
Huh.
was real and he was there and saw it with his own eyes when it's being filmed, then that's what it is.
Yeah, it sure looked like good evidence to me. Good
Yeah, it did.
data.
It was kind of overlooked, like so much of the, well, it was another show I was watching. The guy was saying, "You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't." If you get a really good, clear image of something, everyone will say it's fake and you did that with CGI. If you get a fuzzy one, they'll complain about why is it always fuzzy.
Yeah. Some
And he was
people are
like,
just never gonna.
"Yeah,
Yeah. That's why, it's like that's why then the next morning after I saw that thing walk through the wall, I took my little uh, meter and I put it up just to see, you know, can I actually tell where it went through the wall by checking, and sure enough, it went up from like 14 all the way up to 45 and then back down to 14. So I mean, you can, and the scientists, even if we don't know what exactly we're tracking, if we track those numbers, some scientist is going to know and going to say, "Oh yeah, that's because of such and such field,"
right,
or there's some electromagnetic something going on there. And then I think it was like a year later, I went and took it again, just because I was thinking, "Oh man, I wonder if you had wires in the wall, could it be?" And of course nothing's changed inside my wall, so I checked it again and it's like 14 all the way across. So something was going on there that's not happening anymore.
yeah." Um, that is the sun getting lower behind you, right, and coming through the window.
Yeah, and
You
I'm
see
so
the rays.
sorry it's
It's
after
pretty.
five
No,
o'clock
it's kind of cool. So,
we'll probably have to do CE3 and CE4 another time if you'll have me back.
oh, we do have to have you back because we didn't even get to go into the story about the beach, which I want. I know you went over that in the community chat, but it'd be nice to have you go over it again. So we will schedule you back very, very soon. And I want to thank you for taking all the time you did to put together a PowerPoint and not just go into your personal experience as much, although you did and you documented it in a lot of ways, but by doing sort of a scientific presentation of how you gather evidence and gain more knowledge from using the scientific method and using devices and using things that can detect um, these effects going on. I really appreciate that. That's something we haven't had yet. You just got me thinking about it, and thinking,
Yeah.
I got all this stuff going on around me. I could probably record more of it. So thank you very much for doing that.
And if anybody else has any more ideas, let's create a thread on our forum. And anybody who has cool ideas, scientific devices that they know of, ways to track data, like you were saying, it's a perfect database for us to track that.
Yeah,
So,
and we really,
yeah,
because there are. I don't know if there's other forums like that, but like ours. But I got a feeling there aren't many. If there are, and it would be a great place to build up. And it's not controlled by YouTube or anybody; it's controlled by us. So um, it's a safe place to go, and it's a good place to keep adding more material to. So I want to thank everybody here tonight that's helped support. And not just in a monetary way, but just with the moral support of being here and sharing the community with us. It means a heck of a lot to me and Mary and Shelby, um, to have you all as family. Really, that's what you are. Uh, I think of you all that way every day, and it's really quite wonderful. Because as long as I've been dealing with this subject matter, it's never easy, but your presence makes it so much easier. All right, Shelby. Well, I'm
We're
going to
very
stop.
grateful. Thank you,
Yeah,
Steve.
I'm very grateful. Yeah, I'm very grateful to you for being on and sharing this, and I can't wait to have you back. So,
Cool. And thank you,
oh,
Mary. I can't hear you, but I know you're there. I can feel you.
there's Mary. I added her. You can't hear her though. So, okay, she's in San Diego with the grandchildren. She comes home Sunday. I've been by myself all this time in the house, and I have to say it's been creepy. But I have Nova, and she helps. So, all right,
It's
everyone.
good not to be alone. That's
Yeah.
for sure. All right.
All right. Good night, everyone. Love you a whole
Thank
bunch.
you.
Bye bye.